I'm trying to master as many classic games as I can via RetroAchievements, a website that adds achievements to our favorite games of the past. And today, we play MediEvil for the PS1. MediEvil? 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 I don't know. Released in 1998, the only experience that I have with this game is playing the very first level on a Pizza Hut demo disc. So this is basically a new experience for me. This set has 50 achievements, and it took me about 14 hours to master, around 4 hours longer than the average. And the set is split into 3 sections: story progression, collectibles, and side achievements that include things like ending enemies with a specific weapon. There is a missable achievement, but only technically, so it's nothing to worry about. Jumping into the story, we start off with our main antagonist Searo, rolling up into a village with the most god-awful walking animation that I have ever seen, and casting a spell on the villagers to collect their souls and turn them into murderous freaks, and raise the very plastic-looking dead. He also raises our main character, Sir Daniel Fortescue, throwing us into the tutorial level and introducing us to the amazing voice acting that this game has to offer.
It has risen again, Sir Daniel Fortescue, see?
We're given our first melee weapon, throwable weapon, and a life bottle, which acts as extra HP, and we have to collect 9 of those throughout the game for an achievement. We're also introduced to runes, which are used to open basically every single path that we have to take. We also get our first shield and our first achievement before using our rune to leave. And now that we know the basics, it's time to start playing this for real. We fight our way through the graveyard, filling our chalice with every enemy that we end until we're able to pick it up and we get our second achievement. Getting a chalice in a level grants you access to the Hall of Heroes,
Captain Fortescue, it's me, Canny Tim.
and many more wonderfully voiced statues that give us new weapons. And I found a club the very next level, so we head back to the crypt where we started to break this wall and grab another achievement. We fight some gremlin pig-looking things throughout the next level on our way to find some sheep music to give to the opera phantom ghost guy. We use this fire to break this heart. Not sure why we can't use our sword or crossbow, but you know, whatever. Breaking the heart awakens the stained glass demon, which isn't a bad boss fight. Avoid its attacks, shoot its heart, avoid its other attacks, or don't. Finish it off and get the achievement and a skull key. We also get the Warhammer, which immediately makes the club irrelevant, so I'm really not sure why they gave it to you so early. I found the silver shield, though it doesn't really matter because I never remembered to use the shield, I don't think once during my entire playthrough. The skull key that we got opens this gate, leading us to... But I didn't find any Undertaker, just some blocks to push into the river. We also get the Gravekeeper achievement for killing all of the enemies in the level before going to the boss fight. And speaking of the boss fight, this one is kinda lame. You have to fight 2 invisible wolves, but you can only hit them when they lunge towards you, and yeah, it's not that hard. The next level has an achievement for killing 9 human enemies in a row with the hammer. And you cannot switch weapons for any of the take out X amount of enemies achievements once you start them. So we have to go through and take care of these robot things first, since you have to use a projectile weapon on those. But once they're dealt with, we can lower the population and get our achievement. After that, we run through some wild-ass farm machinery on our way to the Pumpkin Gorge, which is probably the worst level in the game in my opinion. One annoying thing about this game is there's a lot of using a rune to get a rune to get a rune, and it might just be a me thing, but I really don't like when games do that constantly. But we get high on these magical shrooms, climb this hill like it's Undead Mario 64, and beat the shit out of these roots to grab the last rune and exit the level. Unfortunately, that just leads to basically the sequel of Pumpkin Gorge, where we have to destroy the Pumpkin King's Throbbers. And we use this talisman that we picked up earlier to summon a witch and wake the Pumpkin King up and prepare for battle, which I just cheesed with the crossbow. The witch gives us a dragon gem for beating the king, but we won't use that for a while now. The village has a couple of achievements tied to taking out the villagers, the first one simply being to kill one of them. This level is a lot of go here, there, and everywhere. Turn the fountain off to get the red rune, break this wall to get a crucifix cast, pick up the blue rune, put the cast in the blacksmith shop, use a blue rune to open this gate, push this barrel onto a pressure pad to open this trapdoor, pick up the green rune, use the green rune to open this gate, flip this switch, pick up this bust, take it to the blacksmith shop and put it in the cast to make the crucifix. Oh hey, achievement. Hang the crucifix on the church wall to get this safe key and open this gate, jump on this roof to go down the chimney, flip this switch to open another gate, open the safe and get the shadow artifact. Holy hell, what a process. I guess at least we get another weapon in the end. Now we get to solve 4 riddles. And who doesn't love riddles, right? Riddle number 1 has us finding and destroying star-shaped trees. Riddle number 2 sucks ass and is stupid. You have to turn these signs with the faces from sad to happy, but they turn back on their own after a certain point. I don't know if it's time, I don't know if it's steps, I don't know what it is, and I don't care what it is. So the way that you have to do this is you have to use the sword to hit the 2 on each side in one swing, all to get a dumbass clown bush to dance around. What a prize. For riddle 3, we have to lead this mouse past these cats. But I gotta be honest, I had no idea what the hell those things were supposed to be when I first played this. They look more like hairless squirrels. I don't know. Anyway, the mouse freaks this elephant out and it busts down the wall behind it. For the final riddle, all we have to do is push these blocks of fire next to the windows, and somehow that forces us to teleport back up top. We get an achievement for finishing those 4 riddles, but this shitbag gets salty and makes us do another one in order to leave. All we have to do is hit these chess pieces and push them to the matching color squares. I got it down to the last piece, but I couldn't get it to move by hitting it, so I had to shoot it with my bow, which for some reason got it to move. I don't know, I just play these games. I decided to go back to Scarecrow Fields and get the chalice since I missed it the first time. I could have come back after I beat the game and done it, but I just wanted to go ahead and get every chalice on the way. To do that, we have to go back through the wacko crazy farmer gauntlet until we get to the very last part, and then go through this opening that I didn't even notice the first time to grab this harvester part, and drag our bony ass back through all this bullshit again where this Tim Burton machine is waiting. That clears a path through the field to get to our chalice. After that, I go back through these stupid pumpkin levels and complete those chalices before heading to the asylum, and my god, what a pain in the ass. This level is like a preview of what COD Zombies would be years later. Multiple rooms that just have enemies rushing at you from various speeds and difficulty. And because apparently I suck at games, I get absolutely shit-canned at the end of the level. I almost did it twice actually, but I clutched it at the end of the second time and got the 10th chalice, which means we're halfway through, the second dragon gem, and the gold shield. The next level has another witch's cauldron, but this witch isn't quite as nice as the last one, and she shrinks us down to send us into an anthill. An anthill that is full of the most god-awful, terrifying, creepy-ass fairies that I have ever seen in my life.
My people wish only to live our lives in blissful harmony.
We have to go through the hill and rescue these god-awful, creepy-ass, freaky-ass fairies, and collect amber from the ants. This level isn't that bad, it's just a bit of a maze that ends up with you backtracking a lot. So, without much issue, we find the amber, release all of those creepy-ass, goofy-ass, scary-ass, freaky-ass fairies, and then reach the queen ant. And this is another really shitty boss fight, honestly. Just wait until she raises up and use a ranged weapon, like this flaming bow that we got. Now that we're all done with that, we can continue as normal, or at least as normal as possible for this game. We climb this tree up to a giant bird nest and destroy its entire lineage before using the shadow artifact to get down to this puzzle that I solved by pure chance. I had no idea what I was doing, and watching it back, I still have no clue how I solved this, but I did it, and that's all that matters to me. Doing that releases all these little spermy boys around the level, which I proceeded to absolutely destroy, getting an achievement for killing 9 of them in a row with the broadsword. I giveth and I taketh away. We use the Shadow Talisman to disable these lasers, starting another boss fight, which actually isn't bad, I guess. We take on 2 flying demons that shoot demon goop at us, while the platform that we're standing on tilts every few seconds. Once you kill one, the other one starts to drop rocks on your head, but yeah, these boss battles are really bad. Sorry. On to the next level, one that should already be annoying because I really hate water in video games. Made even worse because of this achievement for collecting all 8 helmets without killing more than 4 enemies. Which might not sound that bad, but the level design forces you into close quarters with enemies the whole time. Though, in all honesty, it wasn't that bad. Most of the enemies don't seek you out and instead kind of just waddle around minding their own business. The hard part was walking around forever trying to find the last helmet until I realized that these spike things weren't a barrier. But that's not a game issue, that's a me being a dumbass issue. After that, we go back and clear out all of the enemies and get the chalice and the magic bow. But now to the actual worst level in the game. Walkways over water with enemies that try to knock you off. I can't think of better level design. We go around the whirlpool using runes to shut it down so that we can jump down through it. That takes us across the river to the other side of this shit heap, where this little hidden entrance in this fence leads us to a switch that opens up the gate back to the main area to use this rune to get out of this hellscape. The caves are next, and they introduce these new Minotaur-looking enemies, and other than that, it's a pretty bland level up until we get to the dragon. This is where we use our set of dragon nuts to wake the dragon himself. This boss fight requires you to use the hammer on these piles of rocks on one platform to make them fall onto the one that the dragon peeks out from. The only thing to worry about is him catching your bony ass on fire, but even then it's very easy. We let him go instead of killing him, and we get the dragon armor in return. After that, we backtrack and grab the chalice so that we can get the magic sword, which is the best weapon in the game. The next level is simple but annoying. Once you pass through this gate while wearing the dragon armor, this ghost dragon chases you around and gnaws on your ass for a little while. It eventually leaves though for some reason, and I proceeded to slaughter everything in the level that moved with my new sword. We get a new weapon, which is actually the ability to hit enemies with lightning, and I don't think I used it one time. At this point, I decided to clean up some of the miscellaneous achievements that I had, so I go right back into that level and get the achievement for killing 8 enemies in a row with the crossbow. And now that we have the magic sword, we can backtrack to the Pumpkin Gorge and get an achievement for killing 15 enemies in a row with that. Then we go to the Pumpkin King and destroy all of the pods with our severed arm for an achievement. I guess Fortescue prefers to bust with his left hand. And then we also go back to the village and get an achievement for killing every villager. But back to the main story, we come to a castle full of demons, strange walkways, and a king's crown, which we use to summon some ghost king that tells us that we need to flood the castle with lava. So we flip a switch and start the flood, and it also starts a timer. Unfortunately, it also brings these 2 statues to life. So we put on the dragon armor and use our fire to push them off the platform. Then we haul absolute ass through the castle, destroying everything in our path until we reach this catapult that sends us over the wall and out of the level. But then we load straight back into it and get an achievement for killing 5 enemies with a small sword, go back to the graveyard and turn an enemy into a chicken, and kill 10 enemies with our dragon armor. We also head back to the lake and kill 2 of these stupid ass frog lizard things with spears. Now on to the ghost ship, and oh my holy hell, what a level this is. Enemies that sponge a ton of damage, timing platforming, bouncy platforming, moving platforming. Luckily the boss fight is simple at least. Light the club on fire and use that to shoot cannonballs at the captain while fighting these respawning skeletons. In the next level, we start beating these little gremlin thingies with our arm for an achievement, and that is literally the only thing that happened. Honestly, not even sure why this level exists. The next level starts with another achievement for killing 7 enemies with the fire bow, and we have to take the time from these small clocks and input it onto the big one here to clear the path. We open this door and grab our final life bottle, and then we connect these lasers to open up the last chalice and get that achievement as well. And now we have the final encounter, and it begins with whatever this is. You use good lightning to heal your skelly army as they fight, which is pretty damn lame. But after about 9 hours, we finally get a boss fight that feels like a boss fight. Well, almost. Even the final part against Searo isn't that bad. He just does a decent bit of damage if he lands a hit, but other than that, it's just wait for him to stand up and shoot him from range until you wear him down. And with that, we've officially beat the game and returned the village back to normal. I really enjoyed MediEvil, even though I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's certainly aged poorly in a couple of areas, but for the most part, it's still fantastic. The Tim Burton influence is very charming, the gameplay is basic, but it's fun enough, and the level design is nice as well. Although a couple of the levels were annoying, that doesn't change the fact that aesthetically, they were great. On the contrary, however, the boss fights are really bad. There isn't a single one that I found interesting, and none were even close to being difficult. My favorite one was probably the very first one, but even that is just because the boss looks cool. So, with all of that said, MediEvil for the PS1 gets a gold medal. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, think about leaving a like and subscribing. I'll see y'all next time.